It's, it's your girl Unique Speaks, talking about what I'm talking about. It's your girl Unique Speaks, talking about what I'm talking about, because it's what your girl is all about. It's your girl.
Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm your girl Unique Speaks, and I'll be over here talking about what I'm talking about. And today we're going to be talking about breaking these generational curses off of our lives, off of our children's lives. And we're going to be talking about who's teaching your children. You know, we're going to talk about who's teaching our children and stuff like that. As you can see that I have my sister in Christ, Consume the Goodness over here, and we know her by Kendra as well. She tell her real name over here. But we thank you so much for joining us. Y'all go ahead and thumbs up this video. Push this out in the atmosphere for more souls and more others to receive wisdom and awareness from us mothers, okay? We ain't coming like some pros, but we're coming with some love. And with that love, it brings awareness, and whatever's on the inside of us, we're going to let God just have his way. So go ahead and Kendra, just go ahead and, greet everybody who's here, and we're going to jump into the conversation.
Hello, everybody who's here.
Looks like we have Developing Mind down here in the chat. Tamika Davis is here. Always Tam is here. Associate Minister Deacon Mr. Terry Jones. He always in the building here to support. He is one of my biggest hype man. That's what he said. He was my number one hype man. So we got to give a shout out to my number one hype man, Mr. Terry Jones. Okay, so y'all welcome in. So we're gonna jump into this conversation. Okay, and so Kendra, you already know I already talked to you, and I was like, we're gonna definitely come from a placement of transparency for ourselves, and we're going off with the guidance that God was telling us back in the book of Joshua, y'all. And I'm not going to be very specific, but if you can start at the first chapter of Joshua, y'all will begin to see the journey that Israel went down. Okay, now Israel was just like us today. I just want to shine some light on that, because what Israel failed to do was teach their children. Okay, so you will find out even the more towards the end of Joshua that there was some land and people that God allowed him to take over, but there was some that was left behind. So with those ones that were left behind, God knew that they were still going to have to deal with them, but the old generation died off. So that left the children, that left the new generation that were not taught, okay, anything of the power of God. They didn't know anything of the strength they was going to get from God to conquer these people. So what they do, they fell into the hands of the enemy. They began to worship false idols, and they began to receive false teaching. And what they did constantly made them rebel against God. So you have two mothers here that are determined to do that for our children, to prepare them along the way. And Miss Kendra, I want to kick this off with you. We're asking you this question because I'm only a year in. Okay, let's just make that very clear. I'm only a year in, a stay-at-home mom, and now who has made the decision to homeschool my children for the reasons we're going to share on today. So Kendra, go ahead and just kick this conversation off with me. But let me know, when did you decide to be a stay-at-home mom, and cover your children this way?
Oh, well, okay. I'm so sorry. It's already happening. I just have to send a text to a customer really quick, but I haven't answered.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But this is
no,
kind
you're
of
fine.
like in the moment, real life homeschooling, and we're business owners, and then we have the dogs, and we have all kinds of things. So, this is kind of also part of, I guess, homeschooling, because there are times where I'm in the middle of teaching a lesson and then I have to text a customer or call a customer. So I'm like, okay, hold on a second and do that and then get right back to it. So I guess it depends on how you look at it. It can either be super stressful, or you can say, oh, this is really flexible. I can take 2 seconds to do my job and then come back to this. So
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. And yeah, she is right, y'all. This is exactly what it goes down behind the scenes of us working and taking care of the children, taking care of the household, and working, meaning our own business. You know what I'm saying? When you got to have that flexible kind of schedule. So we can go live and still do this, but at the same time, I got some work to do. So we thank y'all so much for your patience. Welcome in official 1SP. Welcome in Eric B. Good to see y'all. Good to see you all. Hope y'all are having an amazing Monday morning so far.
Okay.
Developing mind.
Okay, so to answer the question, it was why did I decide to to start homeschooling? Or I
Well,
guess
first, how do you just stay at home? Yeah.
Well, it was kind of decided for me. I feel like because when I was younger, I really fell into that, you know, like Miss Independent and I don't need any help and who needs a man and all that kind of crap. I really fell into that. So when my husband and I got together, I still really had that. Like I wanted to be the one to work because it was like, just I guess I feel like media society puts that out there, like it like I was just on the defense right off the bat. Like I can work, I can be the one bringing in the money. Like
Yeah.
that's possible, I can, but it doesn't mean that I should, but I hadn't learned that yet. So I was working and my husband was staying home and he was always very supportive of that, where I felt like I want to do something, like I want to be the one making the money because it'll make me feel better about myself or whatever. So I was not a stay-at-home mom for a while, but it really is funny because it seems like when I started to, some things happened and it really led me to start just getting closer to God and start seeking him more and just rebuild, I guess, my relationship with him because I had strayed away for a little while. And in those times is when it kind of things started to shift to where I would be staying at home. And I felt it inside, but I kept kind of fighting it. Like I still wanted to be the one working. I still wanted to be the one making the money and whatever. And my health started to get bad and then it started to get worse and things at my job got way more stressful. When my stress levels are higher, all of my medical stuff is worse. So it got to a point where I passed out at work a couple of times, got sent to the hospital, which is not unusual for any job that I had. But it's almost like God was like, this is not where I want you to be. So I just kept on going back to work and whatever. But there was a day that when I passed out, I hit my head on the wall and I ended up with a major concussion. And then I got a letter from the job saying, sorry, like we have no work for you because of your head injury. So you're fired. So I was kind of forced into the stay at home because the dysautonomia, the passing out stuff already made it hard for me to hold down a job because after passing out a few times, people are like, which I don't blame them. It's kind of like, we don't know if you're actually going to be here for the whole day because you keep fainting. So
yeah, I can understand that.
So then you add on the concussion stuff, the post-concussion syndrome, which I still have those issues. I could not go back to work. That was not an option. So I kind of feel like God was like, if it's going to take me slamming your head into a wall to get you to stay home, like I want you to do, this is the design I made for you. I want you to be at home. And so I'm thankful for it because seriously, I feel so in my element when I'm at home, when I'm cooking and cleaning and teaching the kids and folding laundry and serving my husband and doing things for the kids. It makes me feel happy. That makes me feel so much more accomplished than going to a job and bringing in some paychecks. Like it is awesome. So I guess it was more decided for me. God was like, look here, lady, pay attention. You're staying at home.
Yeah. I definitely can relate with it so much. And I thank you for sharing that. It just showed me at awe at how God moves in our lives even more, even though we're different individuals, but God will find that way where it feels like it's forced until like you literally like your hands are up and you're like, I ain't got no choice, and in yours was dealing with, your illness. He used your physical body, you know what I'm saying? Things that you already had there, but you was just pushing through, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to just kind of like tie mine into this a little bit, because I'm at awe right now of God and hearing, how God maneuvered in your life to before you even got home, because I was working too. I mean, I don't know the difference in the story is that I don't have a illness that caused it, but I felt like I had something that actually happened in my marriage that was ill. You know what I'm saying? It was a very ill spirit in my marriage. It seemed like everything was going fine. We're just this young couple trying to make it. So we had our typical, ups and downs. But when the pandemic hit, things shifted in a lot of people's households. Let's just say that. But however, for mine, my husband had to stop working. And so that put him to play a role that he was not equipped to run. You know what I'm saying? I feel like as fathers, they were mandated to be in the field. They were mandated to work, and provide for the home. So for him to be at home and raising the children and me being at work, you can only imagine the spirit that was dealing up in this house. I'm talking about, you had that spirit of like, oh, so you make money and I'm not, so now I got to ask you for money. How does that make a man feel? You know what I'm saying? Like having a man that feel like all he got to do is cook, clean, and take care of the kids and all that stuff. And although we knew we made this decision to do this because the children had to be at home, they weren't going to school. So he was like, well, you make more money, so you do it. You stay. It was okay at the moment of making the decision, but that didn't last very long. That spirit got really, really heavy. Although, Kendra, I didn't see it. I didn't see, in the way I'm saying it now. So I stayed working. Even though we was having our odds and everything. I just stayed away. I tried to even work late because the tension in my home was so bad. But one thing that I had now looking back, and seeing that God began to use a gift that he gave me when I was a little girl. And I didn't realize that he was giving me this gift when I was a little girl until now, just walking into this calling. And peer mediating, I've been doing since elementary school. Peer mediating basically is where a kid sits in with two other kids and help them work out their issues. I've been doing it since 3rd or 4th grade. And I don't know why it came upon me or whatever that happened, but I enjoyed it so much. I did it all the way out of high school. So now at my last job that I was working, sis, that's all I did. Every resident that would come in here about their rent, girl, I have a whole consultation. I was doing more peer mediating or counseling than I was as a property manager. Now a property manager supposed to collect the rent, move people in, or kick you out. Like, so how I find myself every day, I am counseling. I could have got in trouble. I could have had fair housing laws against me and everything. But God had showed me while I was on my job, he said, this is what you are to do. So I got certified as a life coach, still work, but I found myself doing the coaching or doing any consulting more than my job. There's no reason to be there no more. So it was almost forced on the job, but also he told me in my home, it was time to trade places. My husband needed to get back into his position and I had to get back into mine. And it did not switch for us until I left my job. Now you know what I'm saying? You got that balance going on. So it's just like, even though the stories are so different between me and you, Kendra, they're the same. God got our attention in such a way that you couldn't do nothing but say, okay, God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So I just hope that is relatable to anybody who is watching the replay on this, because one thing you'll never know how God is going to talk to you and how he's trying to get your attention. Just slow down and just pay attention to what's happening. He may be directing you to I don't know, step out on faith and maybe start your business or stay at home mom or whatever the case may be. But listen for God. He will direct your path. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk about the homeschooling, because like we did, we kicked this off talking about Israel and, just how God, left this land for them. They inherited the land. God fulfilled his promise, but there were people that was there now to fight off. They were not equipped. The next generation, they weren't equipped to handle God's faith, to have faith like their mamas and their grandmamas and all them before them. So here they are, and they fall into these traps. They fall into these traps because of a lack of teaching. So let's get into this homeschooling, because we're all about raising our children in the right way. And the first way that me and you now we're in agreement is, because I was not going to homeschool yet right away, but you are already doing that. So if your children were of age and attending school at the time, how did you break the news to them that they will be homeschooling, or was they homeschooled like straight out the bat?
The only one who was in public school for a little while was our daughter, and she only was in public school until, like, we started homeschooling when she was 10.
Okay.
But she just was not doing well. She had tutors, like, she didn't do well, and so she struggled a lot. And then so that it was fine, letting her know that you're gonna be old, and she did so much better.
Really?
We were able to, like, when we very first started, we started with K-12. I'm pretty sure that's when, I think that's the thing we started with, was using K-12.
Okay.
And even if you have the one-on-one teachers, like the teachers on there teaching, we were still able to have extra one-on-one time with her. And that really helped. She needed it a specific way at a specific pace, and a different kind, just for her own individual way of learning. And we had to take things back a little bit to, earlier years of learning, so that because she didn't get it when she was taught certain things in public school in the earlier years. So no wonder she's so confused when she got to the grade she's in now, or, that she was in at the time, because she didn't learn anything that built up to it. So it was really hard for her. So it helped so much. I mean, she went from she hated to read, she hated to write, and now that's all she wants for Christmas, for her birthday, for random time she wants books. She's reading all the time. She loves writing. She journals every day. Like, it's so much better. So she's the only one that we had to tell, you're gonna be homeschooled, and she was fine with it. I know some kids, I think the biggest thing is a lot of people feel like if you homeschool your kid, they're not going to have a social life, and they're not going to ever do anything. And that's just not true. Like you were talking about before we started, even if you're homeschooled, you can still be on a sports team, for the public school. There are camps. You can just do, any type of camp. There are homeschool camps. There are, just different, anything, getting your kid into learn to play an instrument, or in a karate class, or, there are plenty of ways that your kids are social. And actually, I think we're able to better communicate, because you're used to talking with adults, not only kids your age. So I was homeschooled, and I was not like socially awkward, and our kids, when we go places, they make friends very quickly. Everything's fine. And I know some people who have been in public school their whole lives, and they are super awkward. So I think it's just a person to person thing. I don't think it's a homeschool thing, but
sorry, you're right. I don't think. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. I don't think. I agree with you though. I don't think that has nothing to do with homeschool either, because I've been to school with people that were just a little off or just a little different. I think that's just on how they were raised. And that's good to hear that, she was more reluctant to lean into that homeschooling, because she knew she needed it. You know what I'm saying? Well, she knew that she needed that extra, attention, and I'm just not getting that at school. And that's very, ironic, because that is the same for my oldest daughter. Because I have two that were in school right now. And like I said, y'all, I am currently in transition. So my oldest daughter, she is going to the 9th grade. But just having her through these first few years, moving back here, this whole thing, I feel like the schools we've been through, and I'm talking about 4 or 5 different schools because we moved so much, they all were the same. They're always the same when it comes to just almost like they want to just promote your child without even, not even seeing the results that you need to pass a child with. You understand what I'm saying? Like she was struggling just like your daughter was, just in different areas, but they still promoted her, which made it even harder for her, to get in that grade. And all of a sudden she just failing. And I'm just like, what is you doing? I'm more on her than what the school doing. And that's just where my mind was, because I wasn't homeschooled at all. So I literally was in my mind like, it's something my child doing. Like, you're not paying attention or something like that. I was wrong.
We went through a few different, online homeschooling or, online learning things, because we did K-12, then we did Ohio Connections Academy. And we noticed that, like, the reason we stopped with K-12 is because when it comes to testing time, quizzes, they run like the same 3 to 5 quizzes. So if you fail it, you just get to take it right over again. And then if you memorize what the right answers were from when you failed it before, then you just basically memorize, oh yeah, okay, it was this. So they're not actually learning anything. So that's what we noticed with our daughter, that she would fail a quiz and then you get to take it right, like right away, you get to just take it again. And then she would fail. If she failed the second one, she would take it right over again and then memorize the things that were right and then plug those in. And we were like, no, you're not actually learning anything. You're just, and there's nothing like, you failed this. You obviously don't know it. So let's go back and go over things. And, the parts that you're struggling with, let's make sure you know it before you go take a test again. That was not a thing at all. And we were like, okay, we don't want her doing that. She needs to actually learn it. She needs to actually know it.
Right.
Fail over and over and over until she memorizes the right answers, because she's seen them so many times now, and then pass it, like, because she's not actually getting it. So we stopped with Ohio Connections Academy was kind of the same thing. And then we were like, okay, we're done with this. We're just going to do stuff on our own.
Yeah.
And it is much better now, because, there are books that I get, like whatever grade books that I have for them to get worksheets from. I get stuff offline. Like, I even just type in like, second grade reading comprehension worksheets. And I just look at the images and I print the ones out that are good for my, whichever kid.
Right.
Like anything, and then, so I don't even remember what we're talking about. I just go off on stuff.
No, you're fine. We're kind of like just talking about, that conversation we would have with our children, before them going to homeschool. But it kind of just stretched into this conversation of your whole reason in wanting to do it, and your maneuvers that you made in it, went from one to the other, and seeing these results for what they needed to be seen for. You know what I'm saying? And like you were, like, even like you said, the virtual homeschool, the K through 12, they were just as look like they was just as poor off as sending them to school, and paying attention to that detail. I don't know if I would have said I paid attention to that detail, or not. If my child failed the test the first time horribly, and then to know that they showed the answers later, I could have just bypassed that. Oh, like, okay, well, just take them answers and study it. No, because how am I going to know if my child knows that? So for you to see that detail and be like, no, you ain't learning, and this is not helping, so I definitely see that. And that even the more made you to have that decision to have the conversation with your child, because that's what we were. But you're fine. We're flowing, right? And everything that you said was so needed, because a lot of moms, we don't pay attention.
Yeah,
we don't pay attention
to for her, because that means, great, now I have to actually like put in a lot of effort, a lot of work, which was really annoying for her at first. Because if she's coming from public school, which is like, oh, you have a hard time with this, that's okay, we'll just, whatever. They've made it really easy. And at home, we did not do that. And her doing that in school, and our boys too, as they got into school age, they've all been homeschooled. That applies to our lives too. Like, yeah, this is really, really hard. It's really frustrating. You are like about to lose your mind because you don't know it. But that doesn't mean that you just take the easy way out. Like, no, that means we have to like, so, and now she wants to, when she doesn't get something, she'll do some extra reading. She'll do some extra asking questions to try to figure it out. It's going to take a little more time. It's going to take more effort. It might be a little harder, but at least she's going to actually get it at the end. So that is something that we've noticed too, where it went from like, I have to work harder, I have to do extra work, to now it's like, okay, I need to do some extra work and work a little harder to get this. So it's a
Yeah.
personality thing. It builds a lot of character too, I think, being homeschooled.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. And I'm looking forward to that, that whole awakening, because that's what I feel like. That's an awakening in a child's mind, in a child's state, when they get to that aha moment. And I want that for my babies as well, because I do know my oldest had struggled with that. And just to shine some light on me, talking to my oldest daughter, because it was easier for my youngest one. She just turned 7, so she's like, okay, cool. But my oldest one, she was more on the side of like, I'm gonna miss my friends. So we toured the high school. So you tell me I ain't gonna get to go there? You know what I'm saying? So it definitely was a little challenging just in the beginning. Because when I first did tell them, it was the beginning of the school year they just finished. So she had the whole school year to really like take in the year of what this was going to look like for her. And by the end, y'all, just to be honest with you, she was ready.
Oh,
She was ready. And I want to tell y'all why, because I felt this to be very, very interesting. Because I told her, I said, look, God is telling me I need to take y'all to school. I don't know what's going to come. I don't know what's going to happen. I said, but I'm going to keep on, listening. But if God tell me something different, I'll do that. But right now he is putting it too heavy on my heart. And that's how I taught my oldest, because I'm like, look, God is real. He talks to us. And that's where mommy gets to do what she's supposed to do. And she was just like, why would he tell you to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, she was not going in the beginning. But like I said, towards the end, it was a blessing for the both of us, because she told me out her mouth, she said, Mom, I'm glad we about to homeschool. She said, because at least I don't have to go to school and worry about who's gonna jump me today.
oh wow.
Who's gonna pull out a gun today?
Yep.
Who's gonna pull out a knife today? I see fights every day. At least I don't have to see the fights anymore. Like, these were her words. And I was sitting here like, you dealt with that almost every day? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, I didn't have to tell you because it happened every day. And wow. I was shocked. I was shocked. And that she is turning 15 in August. So she's 14 years old right now. And we're talking about middle school age children who are going to school and at risk to fight. Fight for their life.
Good for her. That's good. Good that's where she is.
Yeah. And it took her the whole year to really take in this school year. She didn't do that well in school, although she did get promoted to the 9th grade. So that's showing me that as far along that she has gotten, that I'm going to have to work just as hard, because she didn't have teachers that were cared about her well-being, did not care about her education, did not care if she was doing good or not. And when she failed, I didn't know until I get a report card. So now I'm the one who's reaching out to teachers saying, what's going on? Why am I not being notified when she failed the first test? Yes. Why? How many tests do she has to fail for me to get a report card? So this is me now making teachers do their job. Oh, no. No. So that just brings me to this next question. Look, this is about to bring us to this next question, because I'm about to go in on these teachers. I'm just gonna be honest. If you're a teacher and you teaching with the spirit of integrity in you, I applaud you. But it ain't many of you, and I'm gonna be talking about them, the other ones today. So how was the first year? Before we get into that, I ain't trying to chew nobody's head off, but I just want to be real about this, y'all. But how was the first year from your perspective on teaching? Okay. Like just teaching your child, and how you think your children did. How did they respond to the new way of learning?
The first year, actually, I was mostly my husband. Because that's when I was still, the first year was also the year that I hit my head. So
Okay.
It was all seriously, like, it all just happened all at the same time, where God was like, nope, like, this is the shift that's happening. But excuse me. When we started, they did awesome. Like, the stuff for our daughter was a struggle because of, how just basically trying to catch her up. But taking the extra time, like, they were long days. Sometimes she did her stuff online, but then her and I would just any random, anywhere where it could be comfortable for her. So we would like get down on our bellies on the living room floor, looking at books, going through stuff extra time until like 7 o'clock at night, just going through stuff. So for her, it was probably more of a struggle because she was having to actually learn, but like going back. But she did a good job. She was making progress, so that's awesome. And then for our son, in that first year, he was just now starting school in kindergarten. He did great. Like he picked up reading and his font. Like I mean, he did awesome, which is really good. He's the one. I don't know if any of you guys on here or Unique, if you know about the videos of our first son who was born at 24 weeks. We were told so many things that like he's going to have learning disabilities. He's not going to be able to do this or do that. He's going to like all these things that were going to be wrong with him. And so we were kind of not sure what to expect when he started learning. He did so well. He just did really well. So he loved his first year. I mean, he struggled with like struggling with maybe some math, a little bit like that. But with reading and phonics, vocabulary, all that kind of stuff, he just did so well. So the first year, it was good. I think it would be harder. I know there are some parents out there where it's both parents are out working, and then they try to homeschool, so they're coming home and doing that. So I think that might be a little bit harder. But my husband taught the kids during the day, and then I would come and try to do stuff in the evenings with Bianca. So the first year was good. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? I think the reason why it was so good is because you have in your mind the reason why you started in the first place. So if it's like, we only have one income and we could have combined income if we weren't homeschooling the kids. In our minds, we don't care. That's not more important to us. We would rather have one income and work on a budget. We don't go on vacations. We don't do any type of stuff like that. But that's worth it to us. We would rather, that's the most important. We want our kids to be learning at home. So we know what they're learning. We know that they're learning the right things. We know that they actually are learning instead of just being passed along. So I think that makes it easier when you always have it in your mind why you're doing it in the first place and how much of a priority your kids are over a certain type of lifestyle, that money brings or whatever. It just makes it that much better. So the first year was good.
Yeah, and I can believe that. And I can appreciate you sharing that, even with me, because like I said, this is about to be my first school year and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I like what you said, the why, you know what I'm saying? That why was so important because what's going to keep you going every single day. Pushing forward towards your children's education. And I wanted to, bring that back up to what I was saying about my daughter, in school. Me being the mom having to reach out to a teacher who probably lost their why. You know what I'm saying? I remember growing up with some good teachers in school. Like I said, from kindergarten all the way to graduating from 12th grade, I felt like I had a few good teachers. Now there was some poor ones, especially when I got in high school. I think that's when it started to really dwindle down, I guess. I don't know. But, I feel like a lot of teachers have lost that why, you know what I'm saying? Because as a mom, we have this full responsibility every single day. And if we share that with our husbands or our spouses or whatever, that helps the balance a little bit. But we still dealing with these children all day long. But then you have a teacher who may only have maybe up to 6 to 8 hours. I don't know, like the full length of a school term, the day that they have them, and they've lost their why. We ain't talk about what are they doing for the rest of the day.
I'm just trying to get through this so I can go home. Whatever. Yeah.
Not going home to get poured back into. Not going home to get nothing reason or why you going to work the next day. You have no ambition, no vision, all of those things, losing in that why for a teacher. And I feel like that is what a lot of our children are dealing with right now. They're dealing with teachers who have lost their why. They have no drive anymore. And so as a mom, now we're picking up that role as homeschooling our children to keep our why. So I just wanted to say, I'm going to take that away from you, Kendra. Like I said, I am not a homeschool mom yet, but I am going to be one this year. And I'm going to make sure I put this, and I've already got it on my little sticky note. And look, you can't even see it, but this is my little index cards, y'all. Y'all already know. When I get a good nugget, I put on my index card and I put on my wall, because that is what I have to speak into myself to keep going. Just like you said, like every day you saw the progress of your children, and that brought a smile on your face. Just know that they was learning and growing with the right knowledge and not the wrong knowledge. So as two women of God, we are incorporating scripture. And this is another thing that I like to tap into, because you shared this with me when I was asking you about homeschooling one day, and you told me you can teach them whatever you want. You got the regular core curriculum that you got to go by, but you can teach, and that was the main thing I heard. I can teach them whatever I wanted. So tell me, some ways that you incorporate scripture, God, that spiritual lifestyle into your children's life.
We usually do a Bible study. We usually do that on Fridays. So we have a Bible story book, and we just read, and then we discuss it. And we'll maybe do, I don't know, sometimes we go for a while because we get so into it, but we read maybe like 3 or 4 of the Bible stories and then discuss it and talk about how we can apply it to our lives and think of examples. Like, okay, what's an example you guys can come up with for these things? And, so we do that, and then it's kind of becomes regular conversation in our household. So it goes out into the rest of the day or the days, anything that comes up. Yeah. Sometimes they'll even bring up the Bible story, like, oh, this is like that one story, or this is like what happened with, this person in the Bible. And so we do that. I'm trying to think. They also do stuff on their own. Like they have their own Bibles. So they will read on their own, especially our oldest. She does she just loves reading. So sometimes that's what she's reading. She's reading her Bible. She's journaling about it. And so they have their day-to-day stuff. But the one that we do together as part of school is usually that Bible story book. And I do or I even sometimes have them watch something. If there's a certain day that I can't, like I'm not able to sit there and read and whatever without passing out, then I'll have them watch something, something biblical. Yeah. And then I just have them discuss that with me. Like, what'd you guys get from that? What was the story from it? So I think it's one of those, like, maybe not 100%, but like if you don't use it, you lose it. I want you to stay in God's word, because we can be in it and then just like don't have anything to do with God's word for like a whole year, and we kind of stop thinking about that stuff. We stop trying to apply it to our lives. So I want them to just have it on a regular basis, even if it's just once a week or twice a week, something to keep it there so we can keep applying it. So I love to have that as part of the schooling, and then learning to like cook and cleaning certain things and food prep and all of that is part of it, because they need to know how to read and write. They need to know how to add and divide and all that kind of stuff, for when they grow up, they actually do use those things. Right. But they also need to know how to cook. They need to know how to clean their home. They need to know how to fold their laundry and meal prep. They need to learn how to plan a meal so they know what they're going to be eating, and grocery shopping. So I incorporate all that kind of stuff into that. And my husband takes them out into the garage. Sometimes they learn how to change the oil. They're going to learn how to change the flash. All these things, because that is stuff they need to learn too. I love that about homeschooling, that we can say, okay, we're teaching you, you need to learn this things, so math can turn into baking when you're learning 3/4 of a cup. And if, okay, I need half a cup, so I have a 1/4 cup for you. How many of these is it going to take to get to half a cup? And then they get to eat something afterwards. So that's fun.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. I love it. And that is the exciting part for me too. To be honest with you, is being able to incorporate real teaching. The teaching that I got, I wouldn't even recommend to my children. And I'm talking about in school. Now, the teaching I got from my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my father, or I'm talking about people in the street, the people in the stores when I got my first job. I mean, I learned more lessons from people that was not my actual teacher. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, now incorporating that. I haven't started, we haven't started school here yet. But for the summertime, I have been ensuring that as we're, the kids are doing their chores or something like that, I incorporate God in it. Look, if you ain't doing your chore, if you can't obey me, I'm just being honest. I be straight up with my kid. Y'all think I'll be like this on with the camera on. Y'all been catch me with the camera off. I'm just being honest. I come with this word and I want it for my children. I mean, I want it more for the souls that's in my house more than before I come on here and give it to the world. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So I feel like when you ain't doing your chores, you ain't obeying me. So if you can't obey me in this house, how are you going to obey God in the world?
Yep. And to teach them that every little thing that you're doing,
everything,
need to do it as if you were doing it for the Lord, and those actually apply. So it's like, and when they, I don't know, some people probably think that we're like way too hard on our kids, but they are learning things. So if we show them this is how you do it, and they don't do it that way, like, and then they don't want to be like, no one corrected or whatever, so they get it.
Yeah.
If we come back and it's like, you can tell that it was just like, I don't want to do this, don't put effort into it. We make them do it again.
Yes.
That is how they learn. And,
yes.
And then they'll probably remember that. Like, I don't want to do this twice like I did last time. So I'm going to do a really good job the first time. And I don't have to worry about coming back and doing it all over again. So
exactly.
Everything.
And I'm the same way. I commend you 100%. I'm the same way. I don't think you no bad mom. I don't think y'all mean parents. And I'm just being honest, because the children in today's generation, y'all, you want to know what lawlessness means? That's what we're talking about. The children that are not raised in the word, they're falling away from God, and they do not care about the risks. And that's why a lot of them are taking guns and knives and stuff to school and fighting and jumping people. And we're talking about middle school, and we can go to elementary, because there was one found in the elementary school for my youngest daughter. Somebody just brought a toy gun because they felt like they had to protect themselves. If they don't know that they have God, they're going to pick up a weapon. They'll think that a gun is going to save them from somebody from hurting them, but it's not. It's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt that person. And they're not going to live a good life after that. That trauma is something to deal with when they're children. And so I just see the importance of having that open curriculum, in homeschooling. And I'm grateful that you had told me about that, because I was already going to do it anyway, but it just made me even more excited, because I was like, I'm already doing it, but now I can really instill this teaching into my children. So when they go out into this world, and that's if they make it, y'all, because y'all, we're looking at this world today. I don't see too much of a standing. I'm just being honest with y'all, but that's the more of a reason why we're sending our children to school to be taught by who?
Yeah. And about how many hours of the day? Like, they're at school for so many hours, and then they come home and they're doing homework. So you can sit there with your kids for like a few hours. They eat dinner, and they're like, get ready for bed, and then they're off the next morning. And half the time, you don't know what they're being taught. A lot of the time, I mean, for sure, it's not anything that has to do with God. Anything that had to do with God that used to be in school it's not even allowed anymore. You can't wear to do with God, because that might offend somebody. But then you have teachers who are like forming their own little pride parades for their classroom. It seems much like the stuff that is displeasing to God, and this is not just in public school, but since that's what we're talking about, are displeasing to him, they're so praised and like, this is okay, it's acceptable. This is called being inclusive. And then the stuff that is displeasing or the stuff that is pleasing to God is like, no, we can't do that. We can't say Merry Christmas. You can't pray. We can't have groups that have to do with God. We can't do that because it might have been someone put it in that basket with the other worksheets. Oh, that's fine. That type of stuff is just
that's what's being taught though.
Yeah.
That's what's being taught in our children.
Besides that, yes. And then you have teachers who, which just like you said, the ones who truly are there just to teach the subject that is to be taught. That's amazing for those teachers who are actually doing that. But then you have a majority of teachers who also want to throw in their political views and they want to try to force their stuff onto you. And like, as everything, especially lately in the past couple years, I mean, every little dang thing has to do with race. They try to make everything about color. All 4 kids that came out of my body are different shades. I have 2 who are darker, like more my color, brown. And then I have 2 who are straight up white. So I started to think like, what would happen if my kids were in public school? 2 of them would be getting told, you are a victim, you're oppressed. And the other 2 would be getting told, you're racist and you are oppressing everybody just based off of the color of their skin with this critical stuff. I'm like, no,
that's right. That's right.
Nope.
And that is what is being taught to our children.
Yeah.
At a very, very young age.
And then gets put in their heads. So then you have little, certain color kids walking around like feeling bad and having a bunch of guilt because they feel like they've done something wrong when they haven't. And then another color group kids walking around like, I'm such a victim. I can't get anywhere. Everybody's against me. Like, it's just all division. It goes into the news. It goes into workplaces. If we just went back to the basics and said the Pledge of Allegiance, and we were allowed to pray and keep God in it, and just only learned what we needed to learn, we wouldn't have all the instantly looking at somebody and just assuming that they're thinking certain things about you, and all this division, and this person thinks they're better than me, or I'm not good enough. That wouldn't even be there. It would just be, learn what you need to learn. I'm going to build you up, be ready for the world. And it is not like that. I feel like, we're teaching our kids, we're helping them learn and grow, but we're also protecting them. And that is part of our job.
It's part of our job.
Yes, we are to be. Some people might say, oh, you're overly protective. You're overly whatever. I'm supposed to be. God told us we're supposed to protect our kids and teach them things. Yes. And how to respond to these certain types of things. So I mean, I don't care if we had only $10,000 a year coming in or something crazy low like that. Homeschool our kids. It's happening. They are. So
absolutely.
And this stuff gets me so worked up. My lips are numb now.
No, I feel you. I'm following you all the way, because that's where we were headed into our discussion is, the importance of school teaching and homeschooling. And that's because you are aware. As a mom, I want to be aware of what's going into my children. And I'm learning this, how long I was in the world, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let's just make it real. I mean, we started off as children, and we probably went our way. We probably was taught even properly and still went our own way, but we found our way back. You know what I'm saying? And that is what God is holding us accountable to. He has commanded us to teach our children in the way that they should go. And what is the way that should be? In God. They should know everything there is about him. They should know that he is always with them. He'll never leave them or forsake them. We should let them know that he loves them and beyond their faults. He loves them even when they fall down, and he can get them back up. He can start all over again in their life. They need to know this, because I can just tell you, based off of my oldest daughter's experience, that's not what she got. She didn't get no grace. She didn't get no mercy. She didn't get no compassion. She didn't get no love. She didn't get none of those things that God tells us to have. None of them. And that's what most of our children are getting.
You definitely don't get taught that kind of stuff at school. So if a kid comes to you and says, I'm a little girl, but I think I'm a boy, no teacher is going to say, God did not mess up when he made you. God did not make a mistake. And nobody says that stuff. Or, okay, well, talk to your mom about that or something. Send it back to the parents teachers trying to take over stuff that is way crossing a line for teacher. You're supposed to be teaching just educational thing. I'm telling you, this stuff gets me so.
No, you're right. My husband was talking about this yesterday. Literally, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? He was talking about they're going to pass a law. I don't know if it's just for the whole world or if it's for this state, but I know they was going to pass a law about, the hormone treatments that younger children are taking right now. Like they're allowing children to do the hormone change and whatever that is, that body change. He was saying that they're going to make a law that they're not being able to do that at a young age. They have to wait till they're 18. And I was like, well, kudos for that, but they ain't stopping nothing. You know what I'm saying? The only thing they just blocked it to a young child don't have to do it. But now that young child is going to be waiting on 18, like most of us waited on 21 so we can wait to drink.
I know.
And I'm just being straight up with you because that's all that's changed. It didn't stop anything. That's a law that's not going to stop nothing. It's just now going to allow this thing to brew on the inside of them up until they get to the age to do it. Or now they're convincing the mamas now. Because just like I was telling my husband, I was like, well, that's the same thing. Like my daughter, she's 14. She can't walk into a tattoo parlor and get no tattoo. But if me as her mom sign off and consent that she can get this tattoo, she can get it. So that's the only loophole.
And you have so many parents out there, sadly, who sometimes I think it's only just for them so they can put it all over their own social media and be like, look at my kid. And then my kid is a victim because whatever. So I'm just all for attention and all for the wrong reasons. But and then you have stuff out there that makes it like, if you don't just accept your child, you need to just let them make their decision. No, they're a kid. They don't make decisions. Right. That's why they're not out there having jobs and buying things and licenses for stuff. They're a kid. Their job, your job as the parent, is to teach them and to let them know there's nothing wrong with you, but let's talk about this, because that kind of goes back to mental health. It all goes back to a mental health thing. If my kid comes to me and says, I want to start wearing dresses and I want to start calling myself a girl name, then I would say, no, that does not make me a hateful mom. That does not mean not inclusive, or I'm not being accepting of who they truly are. No, because who they truly are is what God made them. How God created them. 3 boys and 1 girl, period. And that's it. That is all that there is. There's no in between. There's no I'm both, I'm none. You're a boy or you're a girl, period. And that's what we will teach our kids. And if I do have a son, I don't actually, but if I did have a son who came to me and said, I want to wear dresses, I feel like I'm a girl, then my husband and I would be trying to get to the bottom of that. Why? Where is this coming from? Is it because it's probably something they heard or something they saw, which is why it's so irritating when it's with little kids. Little kids are so impressionable. Even teens are super impressionable. So if you're trying to say this thing like, this is really fun to do and this is great, so many little kids are going to be like, oh yeah, I want to do that for fun. Yes, exactly. And that is what it's turning into. It's turning into just a social media trend that people want to pick up and put on versus knowing that. Go ahead. Yep. Yeah, they're not. I don't even know where you were going, but that's where I was. Probably my mind was saying, like, not knowing the risk that's going to lead them to. One thing that I know is that we done got so sensitive in this generation that we cannot truly define real love. Real love is helping someone not go to hell. Yes. And it doesn't hell is after this world. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're a Christian talking about hell. That's mean. That's hateful. How is that love? That is love. If my love. If the burner, I just used a burner on the stove and I tell the people around, watch out, like don't put your, don't touch that because it's hot. I'm not being mean and hateful. I'm warning them. If you touch that, it's going to burn you. It's gonna burn. That's me helping them. I love them. I don't want them to get burned. So why is that not applied when it comes to talking about going to hell or, the things that will separate you from God? All of a sudden, it makes you mean. It's like, it's not. In our kids, it's because we love them. When we take things away from them, when we call them out on the stuff that they're doing that they know they shouldn't be doing, we don't say that, oh, they're kids, it's going to happen. yeah, okay, yeah, of course, they're going to do things they shouldn't do. We all are going to make mistakes, all that kind of stuff. But by not doing anything, that is not loving them. They need to know that what they did was wrong. Let's correct it. You are still loved. I still love you. There's nothing wrong with you. I don't think that you are a bad kid. I think that you made a bad choice. So let's talk about it and learn from it and grow from it.
Yes. Amen. Amen, girl. You preaching. You preaching. Nah, you preaching. I'm over here like, girl, yes. Because I know that they're trying to create a stigma. I know they are. They're trying to shut us up, but it ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Not on my watch will I allow my children to be subject to the things of this world that's gonna be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? And I want to greet everybody who's coming in. I know we're getting ready to wrap this up in our last 5 minutes. Y'all, if y'all are just coming in, hey, Mama Patty and Mr. Terry Tuber Chat, if y'all want to get into this conversation, y'all definitely catch the replay of this. You know, we're just talking about raising our children properly and according to God's word. You know, we're just having a discussion between two moms who are stay-at-home moms. We work from home. We have either our own business or we're working on a job or however, but we're doing it in our homes. But we know the importance of homeschooling. You know, God spoke to me, you know, earlier this year, last school year, to homeschool my children. And that is the road that I'm on. This is the road that Kendra Consume the Goodness is on. And I am grateful to connect with her as a fellow homeschooling mom. I think Mama B, Miss B and fam, she homeschool as well. And there's quite a few other mothers as well. So, hey, I want to connect with you all. I want to do this thing together. I want for us to have that unity. I found a couple of pages on Facebook as well. You know, these are things that we are talking about today on this discussion on just what it looked like for us and why we started it and why we're going to keep it going. We found the benefits in it. God has shown us great benefits and results for Kendra. And if y'all want to know more about Kendra, y'all want to know more about her journey, please go over and check out her channel. It is Consume the Goodness, y'all. You will not be disappointed by whatever she drops, okay? I'm just going to tell you straight up. She can have like 5 subjects in one video. I love it. I'm always entertained. I stay engaged because you just don't want to miss anything. She has these little nuggets that in between the video, and if you don't watch the whole thing, you're going to miss it. So y'all just catch her story, catch how she's raising her children, be encouraged by it. We're not out here trying to say, oh, live like me, do what I do. No, be encouraged. You got to find your own rhythm into your family, but just know that God has a rhythm with all of us. As soon as we do something wrong, God loves us so much, and he gonna cut us up now. He gonna catch us by our neck, pull us back, you know, and that's the God that we are serving. This is the God that we want in our life to continue to keep us safe from going to hell. The entire Bible is measurements that God has put in there for us not to go to hell. So with that being said, I'm gonna be a mama. Kendra decided to be a mama, to be and say that we don't want our children to go to hell. We don't want them to suffer at the hands of the enemy in this world. So we've decided to just have a quick conversation with you all. So Kendra, is there anything that you want to close out with and telling a mom who could be thinking about homeschooling or this thing, like, you know what, this is not my problem kind of thing?
I would just say to pray on it and then also look at your priority. I mean, honestly, I just watching through this, if you're only watching the end or you're maybe not catching the whole thing, watching the whole thing and just listening to all of the reasons why and the importance of it, and then stopping to ask yourself, where are my priorities? You know, is it having more money and making my kids? Is it like, I can't handle my kids, it's too much, that's too much stress, so yeah, somebody else take them? Is that trump over the reasons why, you know? I would just say pray on it. There's a lot of great things that come from homeschooling, and that there are struggles with everything. The good outweighs any challenge. I mean, and the challenges are even good because you learn from those challenges and you grow, and then you get to make it a lesson. A school lesson out of it, and it's a life lesson, and you're building your kids up to just be amazing, well, you know, good foundation adults, so that when they get out there and they start facing really hard times, they have a good base, a good foundation of, you know, things that they learned at home that will help them in a good way versus what the world tells you you should do, or how the, you know, the world tells you should handle a situation. So it's just it's so worth it. It's so worth it to at least look into and discuss with your spouse if you're married, and just, it's good. Even if your kids say, like, you know, at first you said your daughter was like, I'm going to miss my friends. Maybe if you stop and think about it, because Bianca has said that a couple times, and we have told her, school isn't about making friends, though. It's about learning. It's totally two separate things. So you have things for social stuff and meeting your friends. School is about learning in school, so you need to focus on that, which will help when it comes to, you know, getting a job and all that kind of stuff. Because work, I'm going to work and make money, not to make friends. So
that's right. That's right.
Talking forever, so I'm just gonna say.
I know, but this is an awesome topic. That's because it's a needed and necessary topic. You know what I'm saying? And I pray that, you know, that this conversation has kicked off some conversations in some homes tonight, or whenever you catch this video, because it's just something to think about. And I also want to throw this nugget in there, because I don't want to have to double up, because there's nothing I have to confirm or affirm of what Consume the Goodness has just said, because it's true. It is what it is. But I want to add to it, and just for you to know, like, there is nothing that we cannot do when we have Jesus. Okay. Don't get overwhelmed at the thought, oh my God, I already get my children get on my nerves. Think about what you're setting them up for. Think about your life. Think about how hard it was for you. Remember those things that you wish you would have known. This is nothing but space and opportunity for you to pour into your children and those things that no one else could teach you. You know what I'm saying? Until life happens, you know, and life is going to happen for our children.
Yeah. It's in life is going to happen way too. So if there's a day where things are really, you know, if you have your whole thing set out for the day, your plan for the day, or you plan to touch on every subject for a day, and then something happens, something comes up, at least for my stuff, you know, whatever your own personal thing is for my stuff, if it's my health, then we don't stress about it. Like, okay, it's fine. We will get done what we can, and then we can, you know, finish catching up tomorrow. You can tack on an extra day. You can, you know, you can make it flexible, which is so nice. It doesn't have to be a super stressful, my kids didn't do schoolwork for 8 hours today. It's fine. Some days we do school for like an hour. They're still learning. They're getting stuff in. And then the non-school book work is like cooking. They clean something, you know? So
yeah,
it's very
all round teaching. And it's beautiful. I just wanted to put Miss Mama Patty up here. She said that her daughter and her husband are looking forward to homeschooling their nearly 4-year-old son. They're already teaching him. That is so exciting, Mama Patty. And I just know that they are excited as parents, because they will have full, you know, control of what is being poured into their son. And I think that is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I will be praying for their strength through this upcoming school year, that everything goes well. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Mama Patty. Thanks everybody, to everyone who came into, you know, this broadcast this morning. We're now at the afternoon time, and I know y'all got other things to do, but I thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. Pray that you are blessed by it for so many different reasons, even if you are not. Okay, this is a disclaimer here. Even if you are not a parent, this can still be something for you to think about when you're around your nieces, your nephews. Always see a moment to teach. Always see opportunity to teach. Okay, it takes a village. Remember that, y'all. So I will tell anybody, if you know me and you know how I raise my children, do the same. You know what I'm saying? If I happen to walk away for a second, you know I wouldn't let my child do that. Yeah, I need your help too. So this is not just those who don't have children. You know what I'm saying? We need all of us believers, I'm telling you, to get together and make sure that we are covering our children. They are coming after our children with a lot of different false teachings that's going to lead them destitute to hell. That's the best way I could say it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, y'all know I love y'all so much. Kendra, Ooh, girl, I am so excited that I had you up here, and we're gonna do it again because different conversations, different awarenesses to bring out there, and and I'm just excited to now have a fellow mother who is out here doing the same thing I am, that's pushing that word of God into our children. We don't think it's crazy. This is that ferocious faith that God wants us to have, and I am excited to be alongside with you. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your testimonies with us in your journey, your continued journey, because you a whole pro out here. You know what I'm saying? But I'm getting caught up, but at least I have my people to call on. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I wanted to create right here, y'all, is that we have people that we can talk to, we can complain, we can cry, we can do whatever we got to get through this. Okay, we're gonna endure to the end. So until the next time, y'all, I thank y'all so much. I got Mama Patty, Developing Mind, Associate Minister, Reserve Deacon, Mr. Terry Jones, Big Brother Steve Gilmore up in here. Thank y'all so much. I think I seen somebody else earlier, Tuber Chat. I just want to make sure I acknowledge y'all. Tamika Davis, had quite a few of y'all that stepped into the room. So thank y'all so much. If y'all was listening to Bushes and all of that stuff, hey, I hope that you got something to take with you. We have to keep our children and grandchildren covered in the blood. Absolutely. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Mr. Terry said something. If you think you are going to fail, you will do something to make your failure happen. Why run a race when you think you're going to fail? You must keep a positive mindset in life. Yes. And we're going to leave off on that note, Mr. Terry, because y'all, if you feel like you want to homeschool your children in this coming up season, go ahead and reach out to God, because he is waiting for you. He is waiting to have this conversation with you, because it ain't about us convincing you to do it. It's all about what God has his will for your life and for your children. All right, y'all. So until the next time, God bless y'all. Y'all know I love you, and God loves us all the most. So y'all stay blessed and safe in the Lord. Amen. All right, y'all. See y'all next time.